So what is up, you guys? So today has been raining all day today, and it's been just very wet, but between the showers, I've been working on a really fun project. So I built essentially an arch, a trellising arch over the garden gate. And this is just some trees that I cut down out of our woods, and then I nailed a piece to the top. I notched it and nailed it, and it is nailed just kind of on the sides here, on both sides. And I'm going to plant morning glories up this trellis. So I absolutely love Heavenly Blue Morning Glories. It's one of my favorite flowers, and I have always wanted a trellis over the garden. I just think it's so beautiful, and so that has been something that's been on my list of things I wanted to do. And so today was really rainy. I couldn't really film, and so I worked on that. So that took me forever because I took my time with it, and I just kind of, I wasn't rushing or anything, so I took my sweet time, but it wasn't that hard to throw together, and I think it'll look really cool covered in morning glories. So the first course of action for this space is that I'm going to be planting flowers in the entrance. So you'll have some zinnias in the back that will give it height, and then some low native petunias, which those get rather large. That is actually more of a mid-sized thing, and if the bed was larger, I probably could plant something even lower in front of it. But for the meantime, I'm going to put zinnias on both sides, and I'm going to put a low native petunia on both sides. And that will be kind of my floral feature for the front. And then on the inside portion here, back there, I'll plant a bunch of Heavenly Blue Morning Glories, and I'll let those crawl up and cover this trellis, and I'll do it on both sides. And I did consider doing maybe some Purple Grandpa Ott Morning Glories and then the Heavenly Blues, but I really want the whole thing to kind of be match and be cohesive, so I'm just going to do all one variety. And then along all down here, I'm going to sow some cucumber seeds because the ones I started from seed just are not happy. So I'm just going to try again. And then when our peppers and eggplants get bigger, they will be planted in the front here, and by the time those are planted, the cucumbers most likely will be gone, and so I'll pull those and replant something that can crawl on the back over there. And then on this inside part, probably back here, I'm thinking maybe some basil plants or something like that over here. I don't really know what yet, but we'll see. So that is what I'm getting ready to work on. And then once I get the rest of this ground cleared all the way down, I will, some of these ends here are going to have cherry tomatoes on them because that row is going to be a tomato row. And I figured, I could put in a cherry tomato plant at the end of the rows on the fence. And it will be planted back here, so I do need to mend that. But that is the plan, and I'm very excited. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get some seeds planted. I also may or may not get this lettuce planted, and I know that a lot of people will say not to plant lettuce seeds buy lettuce plants because it's just not, you don't get a big bang for your buck, which is somewhat true, but I just really struggle growing lettuce, to be honest, and the best success I've had with lettuce has been store-bought lettuce. So it's just one of those things you kind of give and take, and you decide, you pick and choose your battles, and you decide what's best for you. So we're gonna go with that. And I have a space out in the garden. Let's see, can I find it on here? Back there where all those potato bags are lined up on the inside of the fence line, I'm gonna plant the lettuce right in front of the peas because that area is a little bit more shaded. So I'll probably pop those in the ground as well. I think I have 12 lettuce plants, so I'll probably plant those. So these here are the petunias, and they come back every year in the garden. That right there is a petunia plant growing out there. So I have them everywhere. And these are some I dug up to save from the freeze. So what I'll do is I'll actually come in here and I'll probably trim them back down to here. And one plant can get pretty massive. So but I think I might end up doing two. Maybe I'll just do one. I might just do one. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to plant those real low. And then I have the zinnias right here, and those are going to get planted behind these. And these will get really tall really quickly, so hopefully they'll be able to grow up behind these, especially if I cut these back. So, I recently had somebody ask me what my favorite gardening technique was. And when they asked that question, it is an interesting question. And I had to really think about that one, because that has a lot of that is a very broad question. There's a lot of answers to that question. And one of the answers I essentially ended up giving was mixing flowers with your vegetables. And the reason I bring it up is because what I'm doing now is I'm creating I'm creating almost like a floral display, if you will, of flowers and things that I want to see. And I'm envisioning something that I want to see throughout the summer that draws me into the garden. The reason I say this, the reason I bring this up, is because you should make your garden a space you want to be in. And if your garden is a space that you don't want to be in, then you're not going to be in it. If you don't make it an inviting place for yourself, you're not going to be, as the gardener, you want to make it a space that you're drawn into. You want to make it a space that has the things that you like in it. I mean, that is why don't grow things you're not going to eat. Do not grow things you don't like. If you hate tomatoes, don't grow tomatoes. If you hate collard greens, don't grow collard greens. Grow things that you like and things that you want to use, because it will keep you interested and motivated to get out in the garden, because you're dealing with things that you like. You're dealing with things that you care about, because you want to see your carrots succeed because you love carrots, or you want to see your flowers do well because you love flowers. Don't make it a space you don't want to be in. Beautify your garden space, because if you beautify your garden space, you're going to want to be out there. So plant your flowers in your garden. Put in some zinnias or some petunias or sunflowers or nasturtiums or whatever you want, because your vegetable garden does not just have to be vegetables. It doesn't have to just be, oh, it's a vegetable garden, I'm only growing vegetables. You can put other plants in it. It's your garden. You can do what you want in your garden. You don't need another person's, you don't need a gardener's permission or something to feel like you can't put something in the ground. If you want to plant something, go for it. Put it in the ground and see what happens. You're not going to know until you do it, So I think that's everything that I wanted to say. But make your garden a space you want to be in. Put a chair out there, put some flowers in some pots or in the ground or whatever. Plant foods you like, that excite you, things that are interesting, because if you do that, it will be a space that you're drawn to and a space that you want to be in. So, plant some flowers. And the other thing I was going to say, ooh, that is really root bound. Look at that, all those roots. When you make it a space you want to be in, you're more productive, because it is a beautiful space. You come outside to look at your flowers, and so I'll come out here and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll come and look at some zinnias and some petunias, and I'll come look at these plants, and I'll be drawn out here to pick some or look at them or take pictures, and I'll look at the vines growing up this beautiful arch, and it's right in front of the garden gate. Why not open it? Why not walk in and see how other things are doing? Because it draws you in. And when it draws you in, you're more likely to be more productive in that space. You're more likely to go and check on things and be more intentional in your gardening and more intentional about going out there every morning and, checking for bug damage or whatever it is. So that's why people decorate their office spaces. And as a gardener, this is your office space. This is your space that you are going to be in all the time. So why not make it a space that is beautiful, that you want to be in, because you're going to be in it a lot. So the only thing I would cut in and say is that I wouldn't recommend planting something like foxglove right up on radishes or root vegetables, because the water runoff on that is poisonous. So as long as you're aware of things like that and you're keeping things like that in mind, you're good. So I got these zinnias planted. I planted that screen is foggy. Hold on. All right, so I have the zinnias planted in the back here with this petunia in the front. And like I said, those will get pretty large, okay? These two things will get pretty large. We'll see how they do in the space. And most likely, what I'm assuming here is these actually might squelch this plant. This is kind of an experiment. I probably could come further forward with this plant. I may or may not. We'll have to see how that does. But something I'm going to do in here for the sake of the plant, because this is really leggy here, is I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut it down there. Now that can go in a vase or in a floral arrangement in the house, but this will actually help the health of the plant and you'll get a bushier plant from doing that. So whenever you have a leggy plant like that, you could even cut that if you wanted to a little bit. I won't because it is already stressed. But anytime you have a really leggy plant, cutting them back like 1/3 or sometimes some people even do 2/3, but that can be a little less is more sometimes. So if you just start by cutting it 1/3 of the way back, it can really work wonders for the plant. So anyways, this will be interesting to see how this goes. I feel like there'll be kind of some naked space over here, so I might move that forward over this way. So we'll see. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Actually, I'm going to go just a little bit lower. So here are the morning glories that I'm going to plant. I put the date on it so I remember when I got the seeds. So those are just, I love these flowers. They're so beautiful. And here are the little seeds. And I don't know if you can really tell from looking at this right here, but I've basically just kind of made a little half circle around this because this is what it's got to grow up. So I'm just going to take the seeds and I'm just going to drop them every couple of inches. They say to space them like 6 inches. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kind of plant them a little bit closer, and then I'm just going to kind of lightly cover them. It's okay if you go a little on the deep side or shallow side. These are one of those things you can always re-sow if they don't come up well. And they do recommend soaking these, but I've never soaked them and they've done really well. So there's that. The other thing is I am doing this later in the evening because we just had a lot of rain and it's going to rain through the night. It should rain through the night, and so it'll kind of help water a lot of these things in, and so that should help with the germination. So it's always a good idea if you're planting seeds. Now if you're planting like carrots or something, you probably don't want to do that right before like a big washout, but you just, you take your risk, you decide what you think you should do and you just go for it. So I have these older seeds that I'm just trying to use up, and so I'm just going to plant these. Actually, I'm going to plant these every 6 inches. So I'm going to plant one here, one there, and we're just going to see what comes up. And because these are older seeds, I can always come out and thin them if I have to. I actually might do every other, just do every other, maybe every 12 instead of every 6 inches. But here is our space where we're going to plant the lettuce right here, because this area is up against the woods and they get quite a bit of shade from a lot of these trees up here. So the peas are doing pretty well. Some of them are a little leggy, but I think they're doing pretty good, all things considered. Our potatoes have come in. I just need to put a little soil acidifier in that compost, and then I'm going to plant up the potatoes. But this is where the lettuce is going to go, and I'm just going to put it like right in here in the front, and I'm going to start at this corner and go down. And I think for the sake of beauty purpose, I might alternate between the what is this variety called, this Butter Crunch, and then there's no tag in this one. Okay, this mystery lettuce, because there's no tag. So whatever this is in this one, I don't know what type that is. It's pretty. So I ended up getting rained out last night, but I got all of the lettuce planted all the way down. It looks really good. Also, what I'll probably end up working on today is we have to run out and get chick feed. And when we get back, we probably might end up working on getting the ground tilled for corn and sunflowers mainly. So we had 2 plots last year side by side, and this plot was half corn and half watermelon, and then there was like a 7-foot space of grass, and then this one was half corn, half pumpkins. And then later on in the season, so maybe like in September, I created all corn rows here, and I put in all corn, and it was a Lady Violet sweet corn, which was a hybrid, which I'm going to try again this year. But what I'm going to do, because the weeds got really bad, I tried covering this with plastic, but I used see-through plastic, which ended up acting as a greenhouse instead of a weed suppressant, which that was bad on my part. So I'm just going to till it with the tractor. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do that to that side, I might as well do it to this side. And if I'm going to do that, I might as well just get rid of this big strip of grass, because the original plan was to leave room so the tractor could come into the garden and then put a gate in right here. But the way I have things established, there probably won't be a necessity to bring the tractor in here. So just for this year, I mean, we can always let it grow back over if we want to. It doesn't have to be permanent, but we'll just rip all of this up. And then, because we're gonna have the tractor out with the box blade, I might as well come out a little further on the end here and bring it out, because the chicken coop is right there, and I want to have sunflowers back here for the chicks. So for the chickens, because that's kind of the idea, is to grow sunflowers for the chickens. So that is what I want to plant back here. So that will be corn, probably some sort of vining crop, whether that be melons or pumpkins or some sort of winter squash like butternut. And then I will have space up here, probably about maybe this wide and over like that big right here for sunflowers. And then we're going to move our fire pit out here somewhere. So that way it's further away from the house and the chicken coop, but it's close enough where we can bring a hose out there when we're burning. So I can't remember if I showed this in a video or not, but we have it painted. So I need to go back and look, but we have it, the chicken coop. This is the chicken coop. It's all painted. We ended up going with a gray. You can actually, we just got it in like a 2-gallon bucket at Tractor Supply, and it's just such a lovely gray color. And we still have to hang the wire. We're gonna put some wood pieces in there. We decided we're also gonna put some screening up there to keep wasps out. The window is in, and it just needs to be trimmed. We're also gonna run some more silicone in there. So we are pretty close to being done. Just a couple more bits and bobs to do to the building, but it is almost done. And we're kind of waiting for a dry day to hang the wire, but we do need to dig around the base, because the wire is going to come out probably about, I don't know, a foot out maybe. So if anything digs, it'll hit wire. So we dig down 6 inches, make it come out like a foot, and then we cover it back up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put a bed around the entire run, most definitely. And I'm gonna plant marigolds. And I think marigolds would be really pretty, because that orange, I think, would be really nice color up against that gray. I just think that would be just such a pretty contrasting color. And marigolds are safe for chickens, so that is something to note when you're going to plant something around chicken. Make sure, because I did have to double check that. I was like, I'm pretty sure they can eat them, but not 100%, so I double checked. So we'll have some orange marigolds, maybe some zinnias over here, maybe some sunflowers. I don't know. We get there when we get there, but I definitely do want marigolds over here for the beauty of it. It's also something that's beneficial for the chickens, and hopefully will kind of keep pests and things away. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend it with me. If you liked it, please let me know by dropping a like down below. It really helps out the channel a lot. If you want to stick around, click that big red subscribe button. And if you never want to miss a brand new upload, all you gotta do is click that bell icon to turn on notifications. Always feel free to drop a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. All of my social medias and links are down below. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye.